Adventure time! Adventure time!
Adventure time.
How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
So today we're meeting up with an old friend that I know from high school called Tyler, a big time collector. He's a lot of the reason I got into collecting at the beginning of this year is because of a conversation I had with him. So we're gonna go pick him up, bring him back to mine. He's bringing a bunch of games to show off and get some good footage, and he's selling some of it. So I'm probably gonna buy some of it. Hopefully get some good stuff. Not sure what he has yet. And yeah, we're almost there. So
Wouldn't cane out.
wouldn't cane out.
Like Sony thing. Paid $300 for it and the speaker broke up in 3 months.
This is our good friend Tyler,
Hey.
who we haven't seen for a very long time.
Hope my film is not
Hi.
too crap.
Hope it's not like crap lighting in here. I'm gonna chuck some lights on. Let's go through these bags. All right, where do you want to start?
I guess I'll start with this, which is stuff I'm selling. I'm selling him a Lynx in the box. Open this up. Comes with Ninja Gaiden 3 complete. System, it's been refurbished, so there's like no scratches on it or anything. And I've got 3 games in here as well. I've got Scrapyard Dog, Batman Returns, and Toki going ape spit.
Cool.
Yeah. I used it a few times. It's a decent enough system.
Yeah.
You'll need batteries.
Yeah, it drains batteries.
Yeah.
It's like what, 2 hours and then it's dead.
I think I'd go about 4 or 5 hours. You're probably better off just getting an AC adapter. They're not too much online.
Yeah.
Very cool about that. And a whole bunch of Game Boy games. They aren't too good, so I'm gonna probably sell them for like what, 70 cents each or something.
Deal has been made.
It has been.
Yeah. So I just want them gone,
Alright.
keeping all the good stuff pretty much.
I'll take all of your crap.
Yeah. Okay, I suppose they aren't any real order, I'll just drag them out as I go along. I've got Zelda Wand of Gamelon for CDI. Basically in the 90s, Philips had a deal with Nintendo to make a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo, which fell through, but they were allowed to use licensed Nintendo characters for their games, so they made 3 Zelda games and a Mario game. They're really infamous for their bad cutscenes. I have actually played through this one. As a 2D game, it's just mediocre, but as a Zelda game, it's abysmal. That's where the bad rap comes from, but as a game by itself, it's okay. Got Final Fantasy complete in the box. I don't have the cartridge on me at the moment, I've still left that home, but this comes complete with like the maps and the manuals, and I didn't bring it with me, but I do have the official Nintendo Power Strategy Guide for it. I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. I've tried so many times to play it, I just can't. I even downloaded it onto my Wii U from the Wii's Virtual Console and just can't get into it. Next I've got Daffy Duck in Hollywood, a late Master System release. What makes it rare is that the game's already rare enough, but it was actually has an Australian rating on there, which actually wasn't discovered by collectors until a few years ago. This is the only copy I've ever seen in the wild. I'm pretty sure it's complete. Yeah, it's complete. Got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the Xbox.
Nice.
Yeah, well I wanted the Dreamcast version, but just found this one, because I think, Game Trace were doing a deal where if you got $100 worth of Xbox games, they'd give you a console for free.
Cheers.
And this game was already about $70 anyway, so just picked up one more game and got this. The price has dropped since it's been released on, Xbox Live and PSN, but, at least I've got something to put on my shelf, I guess. I got Cooler World. Unfortunately, it's a photocopied cover, but the disc in the back's original. I just know it's rare, that's all I really know about. I had a demo of it as a kid on a disc I got with my PlayStation. Really good, basically you got a beach ball rolling around eating fruit. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that game as well. Just the demo of it.
Yeah, I've got the Genesis version of Action 52.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I only got it for about $60.
Where from?
eBay.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically, it's better than the NES version, but it's still pretty bad. Not much of I can say. This one isn't as rare as the NES version, but just picked it up because, pretty much just had to have both. Because I think, Active Enterprise has only released 3 games, which were the 2 Action 52s and Cheetahman 2. And I don't have Cheetahman 2 because that's like $1,500.
Yeah.
Here is actually one of the rarest Atari games, which is called manga or manga. I don't know how it's pronounced. I know the PAL version isn't worth as much as the American version, but this has been known to sell upwards of $700. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I got it for $200. I do have the manual with me, which is in one of these sleeves I got down here, which has got some other things I'll show off in a second. Basically, you're a kid eating food, and basically you have a choice of eating the food or throwing it out the window to the cat. And basically got the mother walking back to the kitchen to bring you more food, and I think if you eat too much, your stomach explodes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good game.
Oh, it's interesting, alright. This one is Maxi 15. I bought this one because it's actually... this version is uncommon, but the version in America is actually known to sell for about $150.
I swear I used to have that.
Yeah, and it's got like 15 original games on it, like got like Chiller, Menace Beach, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I used to have that game.
Yeah, I think generally I think in the box it's worth about $40-50, but I see them all the time for about 10-15.
Yeah.
It's like more of the American version's rare, this one's uncommon.
That's awesome.
Okay, this one is 4-pack all action. And basically HES used to release a bunch of unlicensed Nintendo games and Atari games, but this was the only Master System game they released. It came out in 1995, so you know, pretty much when they were about to release the PlayStation, and that's it. It's really late in the Master System's life. It's not complete, but this sells on eBay for about $150. I got it from Game Traders for $14.50.
Nice.
But I saw they had another copy a few months later, and they're selling that one for about $75. So I think this one might have slipped through. Then they realised what they had. So the next one they got, they marked up a bit more.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Next is Golden Axe Warrior. This one kind of plays like Zelda because the other Golden Axe games are beat 'em ups, while this one's more of an RPG. I think it's complete. Yep, and someone wrote on the manual. Steve Coombs wrote on the manual.
Nice, Coombsy.
Coombsy. Next is Sword Quest Waterworld, which I believe this is the second rarest first-party Atari 2600 game behind Quad Run. This one was only released through a catalogue in 1983, and around 83 a giant video game crash was happening, so no one was buying games anymore. There was meant to be this competition with it, which never happened. I think I got it for about 80, which isn't too bad. These ones aren't really rare, but they're just cool to have. I got the Famicom Disk System Zelda 1 and 2. Yeah. Did you just make an orgasm noise over there?
I may have.
I have a Famicom, but I don't have a disk system, so I haven't played them.
Damn, I'm
I've
jealous
never
of
seen
that.
those before.
I've never seen him in the flesh.
This one isn't really rare, it's just stupid. It's called Ninja Golf. And basically, it plays like a game of golf, but then as you're running to your ball, you fight other ninjas.
Alright, well, that sounds like the best game.
I haven't played it because by the time I got this in the mail, my power supply for my 7800 broke and they're hard to come by, so I actually haven't played it.
That needs to be played.
Next up is Splatterhouse 3, which is actually one of the...
I can't get over that title. Look at that picture, Ninja Golf.
This one is one of the rarest Mega Drive games. I think it's just a limited release.
Yeah,
it was only released in America. This one is actually it's actually an import. It's complete, I believe. Yeah, it's all complete. Someone wrote passwords in the back of it though. It was an ex-rental from I think Video Easy. Do they even exist anymore?
Yeah, they're around. I'm pretty sure they're around.
Another 7800 game is Mean 18. It's a golf game, but it's actually one of the rarest games for the system. I only got it for about $10, and again, before it came in the mail, my power supply broke.
$10 is pretty good.
Yeah. Next up is Sparkster, and this was a sequel to Rocket Knight Adventures, and it's actually pretty hard to come by. I think cartridges alone go for about $35-40. Boxes go for about $100. I got this for $10. So not too bad.
It's pretty good.
Next is Toe Jam and Earl. This one is actually increasing in value. I think it's because on a lot of like multiple game discs, like the Mega Drive collection on PS3 and that, they don't include Toe Jam and Earl, I think due to licensing.
Yeah.
This one's all complete. I think I got this for $30, and I see them on eBay for up to $50 sometimes, and that's a minimum, usually for about $70 or $80. Next is Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Nice.
It's actually pretty weird to say that a Wii game is already rare, but you know how it was only for a limited time they released these.
Kane's got one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, they discontinued them after about 5-6 months.
Really? Damn.
Yeah. Next.
Get one more.
I mocked you for getting that because I told you should have got the originals instead.
Next is Ninja Gaiden for the Master System. This one's actually increasing in value. I think if I paid $20 for it. The only ones I could see on eBay around this time are about $90 for, and that's for like a dinged up one and that. So they're increasing in value. Next is Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel. And this is a spin-off to the Aero the Acrobat series, which I've got the second one of here. They're both limited releases. I know this one I see selling on eBay for sometimes like $80. This one about 50-ish. I think I got this one for 20 and this one for 15. This one's complete, but the manual's all ripped up, and this one's just card only in there, so it's not too bad. Okay, on to the next bag. I've got Airborder 64, which I didn't even realise it was rare. I paid $10 for it. It's terrible. It's basically, came around the time of Tony Hawk and that. It wasn't until I read a magazine that this is like the second rarest PAL 64 game.
Shit.
Yeah, I didn't even realise that. I just picked it up because the box looked cool, like a few months before that. Don't buy it unless you're a collector, it's not good. Next is Holden Adventure Racing. This is just basically a reskinned version of Beetle Adventure Racing for Australia. Only released in Australia. It's starting to come... Well, they're uncommon to find the cartridges, but finding it with the box is starting to become a bit hard. This one's an ex-rental, so it's all faded. There's a sticker on the cartridge. Don't have the manual for it, unfortunately.
Never seen that one before.
Okay, this one is pretty rare. Some people consider it like, you have to have it in your Super NES collection. That is Earthbound.
Oh, I've been seeing that so much lately.
Yeah, and this one I've got it for $150, which is considered cheap. It usually sells for $200 for a damaged label and that. I've played it. It's good, but the thing is, it's being released for the Wii U, and I want to wait for that version because I don't know how to change the batteries in these. I don't want to put 20 hours into it and have my battery die on me. Yeah. Okay, this one is the Real Players Pack, which is otherwise known as the Caltron 6-in-1 cartridge, which is one of the rarest NES games. I think this one, like, Nintendo Age says it's the same rarity as the original Caltron cartridge, but I don't know if it's because I'm in Australia or not, but I see this one up here more often. But they're still pretty rare. I actually remember I found this at Game Traders, and at the time I didn't have too much money on me, and another store wanted it, so we had like this bid war over the phone, and I lost, but I found this one on eBay about a year later. Okay, next is Pro Protector 2, which is the PAL version of Contra 2, well, Super C. And I got this for $15. It's actually now starting to really rise in value. I think, the cheapest one is about $50 on eBay right now. Really good. I love Contra. Play it. It's good. Okay, here's one which was the first rare game I obtained, and that is the NES version of Action 52, which is extremely rare to come by. They sell for about $250 on eBay. Yeah, I found mine in Game Traders for $100.
Jeez.
It sat there for months because I knew it was rare, but I didn't realize how rare. And then like Angry Video Game Nerd did an Action 52 review, and it's from there that I realized this thing is actually really rare.
You
Like,
ran
I knew it
straight
was,
down,
but I knew about Action 52 for a number of years. I knew it was obscure, but I didn't realize it was rare. I just thought it was uncommon. So as soon as I saw that review, I ran out and bought it, and thankfully it was still there. It sat there for months. I'm surprised no one picked it up.
Yeah. It's probably the only copy in Adelaide.
Yeah. It's awful. I played it a few weeks ago just for kicks, and it froze after about 6 minutes. And you can tell after about 10 minutes, like, that becomes really hot.
Did you get 6 minutes worth of kicks out of it?
Not really. No, not really. When games don't load and, you can't jump properly, it's only fun. It's not exactly fun to play, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Next is the 32-in-1 game cart for the Atari 7800. These were only released in Australia as a pack-in with the system, so they're kind of hard to come by these days. Basically, if you ever see them being sold, they're with a 7800, and even then, generally, they're not included. Like, they're becoming really hard to come by. This is the only one I've ever seen in the wild, and I got for $5.
Nice.
Yeah. Next is Bomberman: The Second Attack, and this was a late Nintendo 64 release. pretty much at least late 2000, no one really cared about the 64 anymore at that point, so it didn't sell too well. And this one is actually arguably the rarest Nintendo 64 game, and that is Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. And I actually got this along with Bomberman from the same seller for $50 each, and this one now, for even a damaged cartridge, sells for about $200 on eBay.
Jeez,
Yeah, I bought it when it was still about 50 to 100, then 4 months later it just skyrocketed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lucky.
This one isn't really rare, but it's just fun to have, and that's Wally Bear and the No Game, which is this massive anti-drug game. Basically, in the late 80s, when they had all the PSA ads in America, they released this game to try and tell kids, not to do drugs. But what I think is funny, and I found this in the manual, they have descriptions of their games, and Wally Bear's supposed to be, the hero of this game, the good guy. And if you just read that, I think they just left it blank and just added Wally Bear. Because it's can you defeat the evil Wally Bear? I could put my money towards better stuff in the end, what I think about. This one is the Australian version of Tales of Fantasia, and the game's uncommon, but a complete Australian version is starting to rise in value, about $60-$70 now. And I got this for $10 in a Game Traders bargain bin. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad, and it was brand new when I got it and everything. Next is Super Mario RPG. Basically, this was the last game Square did for Nintendo until 2003, because they went to PlayStation after this because they had discs while Nintendo stuck with cartridges. Really good RPG. It sounds stupid, Mario and RPG, but it is pretty good. Next is Colibri for the Sega 32X. I know I said Sega. We're the only country that says Sega. Everywhere else says Sega.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I always just say Sega naturally. Basically, 32X was a bomb, but this is one of the few good games that came out for it. Thankfully, this is one of the few games that isn't region locked, so I just play this on my PAL 32X, works fine. Some of the people who made Echo. Basically, you're a hummingbird that shoots insects.
Nice.
Yeah. Another 32X game is Knuckles Chaotix, which was the only Sonic game for the 32X. Yeah, the PAL versions, some of the prices like $80-$90 for this thing. It's not worth that much, it's only worth probably about $20 at best.
How much you paid?
35.
That's alright.
Really not too bad. Okay, this one is actually the rarest original Game Boy game, and that is Tripwell, which is done by Stunsoft. If anyone's heard of Mr. Gimmick, it's pretty much... Think of Mr. Gimmick but on Game Boy. This sells sometimes upwards of $250.
I'll work for that, it's really cool.
Yeah, I paid $240 for it, and it was probably a dumb day I did that. This is Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. Nice. It's already pretty rare, but because it was a late NES release, but the PAL version's even rarer, and you can tell it's a PAL version because they're called the Hero Turtles there. And in the cartoon in Europe, and that they edited to Michelangelo, only had one nunchuck in that.
Oh.
Yeah. Next is Skies of Arcadia. I have nothing to really say. I got it because it's rare. I tried it. I hate RPGs, so I don't have any real comment on it.
RPGs are pretty damn good.
I've got that one on the GameCube.
Oh, was it Legends, isn't it, on the GameCube?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next is Space Station Silicon Valley for the Game Boy Color. This came out about a year after the Nintendo 64 version, and because this one had a limited release, it's pretty rare. I've seen these on eBay for about $150. I got mine for, I think, $2. And it was actually by a dude on eBay, so probably didn't know he had, probably thought, it's just a useless Game Boy game.
Yeah.
Pounced on it. Probably only had it up for about 40 minutes when I found it.
Pounced all over it.
I was like, Silicon Valley for $2, hell yes, son. Next is Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Nice.
Yeah. This is the original one I got when I was a kid. I loved this game. Late Nintendo 64 release, and because pretty much Nintendo, they didn't like sex and violence a lot in their games, so it had a limited release, and what was rare for Australia at the time was to have the rating on the sticker label, but they did that to make sure parents weren't buying it for their kids.
Yeah.
I don't have the box anymore, I have the manual though, and I remember on the box, the M15 logo was gigantic on it. So, trying to make sure people won't buy it for their kids. Next is the PAL version of Tales of the Abyss. I only have this pretty much because it's a rare game, like had a limited print run, and because the 3DS is region locked, it makes it a bit more valuable.
Yeah.
Well, everyone else would just import the American version if they could. Yeah, I bought this because I got my Ps that day, and I found it on eBay, so I was like, yeah, I'll reward myself. And I got my Ps a year and a half ago, haven't driven since.
Damn.
Next is Gianna Sisters for the DS. It feels weird saying all these like newer games are rare, but this one had a very limited print run, and the Gianna Sisters were actually from the 80s, and they were on like the Commodore 64 and that as like a Mario clone. Yeah, I think the tagline was on the original one, like the brothers are history now or something, and like Nintendo sued them because back then Nintendo were pretty much nobodies.
Yeah.
So they sued them, won, the game got discontinued, but now Nintendo licensed this for the DS because I think they know nothing's gonna kill Mario now.
Yeah.
So they released it. It's okay, but it's really simple. Next up, there were 3 RPGs released for the Wii, and they've all had limited print runs, and those are Pandora's Tower, Xenoblade Is it Xenoblade or Xenoblade?
I think we say Xenoblade. No, Xenoblade.
I've heard both.
Yeah.
I know, X Chronicles. And The Last Story. Yeah, and like, I've only ever really... I see them sometimes, but they're always the same ones that just haven't been sold yet. Like, I haven't seen this one in the wild for about a year and a half now. Like, becoming really hard to find, and this is the version with the soundtrack and that in it.
Nice.
I couldn't get into this one. I couldn't get into that one or Pandora's Tower, but I love Last Story. Next up is Turtles in Time. And the PAL version is pretty rare, and this is the Australian version because, yeah, they're still called ninjas in this one.
It's a good bit.
Yeah, I love this game. It's about $17 on eBay now. It sucks because when I first started collecting, I saw a boxed one for $100, and now it's like $200 for a boxed one.
Yeah.
And I actually had a friend, she found like a whole bunch of old Super Nintendo games and that, and they're all like external, so they came in VHS cases, and she had like Turtles in Time, Zero, the current it's got like Demon's Crest, and like they're all rare games now. Yeah. I'll just drag a few up. These are all Game Boy games at the bottom of this one. I have Wendy Every Which Way, and I just dropped a game. This was a late Game Boy Color release. If you actually played on Game Boy Advance, you get extra levels. That's how late in the release it was. It's actually a pretty decent game. Like, you can shift gravity and that to your advantage. I got it for $15. It goes on eBay for about 30 to 40, which is, unless it's Pokemon, that's pretty expensive for a Game Boy game. Next is Bart and the Beanstalk. Mine's actually damaged. It was damaged in the mail. I actually ordered 2 games, this and a Flintstones one, which are both rare, and the Flintstones game never showed up. And because it was only like $8, I was like, whatever, I'll just, live with it.
Was that off eBay?
Yeah.
Oh, you should have done something about that.
I was like, whatever, it was like $4 to $8, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
Didn't really care. And the dude was in Germany, so I didn't feel like, going to like free translators to like argue with him. Yeah, but it's awful, and it came damaged, and it's like stained. I have no idea what that is. And this one is actually, believe it or not, pretty rare, and that is Barbie Game Girl.
Nice.
Yeah. I actually played through it one day when I was bored. And it's basically, you're going to meet Ken, and that's it. And at the end, they dance in a ballroom, but like, they don't animate the legs, so they're sliding. And because I'm playing on the Super Game Boy, it looks like they're sliding on grease because it's all orange.
Sounds like a wild ride.
Yeah. This one is Starhawk, and it's basically just a shooter, and this game is so obscure that a lot of official lists don't even have this one on it. Like, I think it was released in certain parts of Europe. No one really knows anything about it. Next is Spud's Adventure, which I think is the second rarest Game Boy game, and you're a walking potato. That's pretty much all it is, but it's done by Atlas, so it's got to be good. Next is an 8-in-1 unlicensed multi-cart. I have no idea what they're worth, so I'm holding on to it. I see them sometimes, but I have no idea what they're worth. The games on it blow, they're not good. F1 pole position, which is actually really rare, but I think it's the American version which is rare, and this is the PAL version, so just get this one pretty much. The American version sells like $200 sometimes. It's just a label difference. The label looks slightly different, that's about it. Next is Amazing Tater, which is... I don't know if it's the predecessor or the sequel to Spud's Adventure. I don't know which one came first. I think it was this one came first. And basically the same thing, you're a walking potato. This one sells for about $150. I got mine for $60. And next is Agrosaur, which is basically Do you remember a movie from the 90s called We're Back, A Dinosaur Tale, I think it's called?
No.
They basically took the Game Boy game of that, and for the Australian release just replaced it with Aggro. So you get Aggro on a skateboard fighting dinosaurs. And I dropped one game down here, and that is the Game Boy Color version of Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, nice.
I don't like Metal Gear Solid much, so I don't really have too much to say. Well, I can tell it's decent, but I don't care about Metal Gear.
Yeah. I'm sort of the same.
Yeah.
I've never really finished one.
I've only played that one and the fourth one.
I played the fourth one, I didn't like it.
And to me, the fourth one was like, watching a movie.
Yeah. That's what all of them are
A
like.
bad movie. Okay, next up, this one isn't really rare. I just think the cover's funny, and it's some German Atari game. I just like the flag ET's holding. I think, yeah. So I remember AVGN did a review on this in a Spielberg Games one.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Next up is a factory sealed Killer Instinct with the free watch. As you can see, I paid $100 for it, which is pretty expensive for a game I never opened. I do have, regular Killer Instinct in the box, and it's got the Killer Cut CD in that.
That's got to be worth a lot more than 100.
I don't know. It's like Game Trace. They got like a ton of them. They're the only
Really?
place that have them.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I've seen them just in that for 100.
Yeah. I don't know. It just sits on top of my wardrobe for now. Next up is Garfield Calling the Act for Game Gear. This game isn't actually rare, but what makes this one rare is that, let's see if I can find it. This one and the Genesis version came with a free exclusive comic book, and this doesn't show up too often. And Jim Davis worked on the game, drew the sprites, I believe, worked with Sega to help them make it. Okay, next up is the Sega Channel adapter. Whoops. And pretty much what this was, in the 90s, it's like a cable thing. You pay, I think, $20 a month. You put this on top of your Genesis. This runs through to your cable, TV cable. And every month there'd be games you could play, and you just download them. And, a lot of games that never got
futuristic.
And a lot of games that didn't get released on cartridges outside Japan were on this, Golden Axe 3 was on here. I believe Pulseman was, which was actually made by the people who made Pokemon. There was also Mega Man: The Wily Wars, which only got released in Europe on cartridge, and now that's about $200 for that game. Pretty much, it's useless now. You plug it in, and it just tells you we can't, locate a signal.
Yeah.
But it sits on top of my Genesis. It looks cool.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah. There is actually another version of that. It looks cooler, but I've never ever seen one before. So I assume it's rare. Okay, this one is Final Fantasy VII, the black box, and what irks me is these are now only about $70. I bought this when they were still $150, $200, and I could never get into it. I played about 4 hours of it, just can't get into it. I'm not a Final Fantasy person. I know people who are, and they just seem so, generic, those games.
I like number 9. I'll say that much.
I actually had the American version of that, but I sold it because I never bothered to get an American PlayStation.
Number 9 was very enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay, this one is probably, laughable, but Hamtaro Rainbow Rescue is actually a rare game because it only got released in Japan and certain parts of Europe, and this was late 2004, and I think they quit, translating the anime around late 2003.
Yeah.
So it was late in the release. I actually remember in high school, because I remember I watched it around year 8 when I first started high school, then around year 10, I got nostalgic for it. But around that time when you're 15 years old saying anime hipsters are cool, everyone thinks you're a wuss. Next is Saturn Bomberman, and this was again a late Saturn release. Really good game, but a lot of people, they get the cheaper Japanese version because you don't need too much, the storyline doesn't really matter in it, so people don't care if they can't read the dialogue in it. Got for about 30, so it's not too bad. Yeah, another Game Boy Advance game which you probably think is that seriously rare is actually Nickelodeon 4 games in one pack, because this was released 2007, so DS had been out for a few years, and what actually makes this rare is that in its release, I'll get the cartridge out, because it's actually got the wrong Fairly Odd Parents game on the label. It's saying, I think it's Shadow Showdown, while the game is actually Enter the Cleft. Yeah. If you actually feel that, there's actually a sticker over the top of that. Because, and on everything I see about, even on the back and that, they're advertising as the other game.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually Enter the Cleft on this thing. I think it's one of those things where it's uncommon to find the cartridge, but finding the box is really hard.
Yeah.
And because you can get the games the original games on cartridges by themselves for about $3 each, and no one cares about this.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fair Your Parents was an awesome show.
I haven't watched it in years.
It's heaps good.
I just remember the teacher flipping out saying "Fairy Godparents." Next is Dragon Force for the Saturn. This is a what's the word, like a strategy, like a tactical strategy game. I bought it thinking it was an RPG because I do give RPGs a chance, and when I do find a good RPG, they're usually one of my favourite games. Don't know what the hell to do in this game. I thought about selling it, but because I don't know how much it's worth, I'm holding on to it. Yeah. Next up is an RPG I actually like, and that's Panzer Dragoon Saga Complete.
Nice.
And it's really good because I actually found this, I had a really bad day and then found this for 150 when even incomplete versions sell for about 200, 250 minimum. So, really good to find this one.
Where'd you find it?
eBay. And when I got it, it reeked of cigarette smoke. Yeah. I actually sat on my shelf for a few months, finally dragged it out, played it, because I thought it'd take forever because it's 4 discs. Only about 15-hour game, but it's full of cinematics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, example of an RPG I actually like. Okay, next up is...
So big.
I think it's Torika, that's how you pronounce it, for the Saturn. It's basically an interactive movie. I don't like it at all. It's only there because it's rare. I did think of selling it, but again, because it's... the price keeps going up, so I'm holding on to it. I think it's complete. Yeah, 2 discs, and when I got it, someone actually written out their own walkthrough for it. So I found that in the back there. So I think, Game Trailers had this for ages. They wanted 100 for it, and I think they dropped it to about 60. Okay.
Movie.
Next up are 2 GameCube games, and that's the GameCube version of Twilight Princess. Because that was, the Wii version had been out for about 2 weeks before this one got released, and they're trying to really push the Wii at the time, so this had a limited release. And also, this was actually delayed by a year so they could release it at the same time on the Wii. Because this was meant to come out in 2005, we got 2006.
I remember when they both came out, I'm like, why would I get it on GameCube when it's on Wii?
I think I paid $75 for that one, so it's not too bad. Next is Dancing Stage Mario Mix. This was a late GameCube release, and basically, you have a dance mat and you dance. Oh yeah, my memory card's in there with my bad, Year 9 writing on it. Sonic Team, because I used to have all my Sonic games on there.
Oh yeah, you're a huge Sonic fan.
Yeah, I remember me and Daniel, we were obsessed with Sonic, but I went through a massive, Sonic the Hedgehog sucks phase.
Yeah, it does kind of suck.
Yeah, and looking back now, the Genesis games are good. He wasn't really on the Saturn. Dreamcast games are good, and then he started really crumbling there for a bit.
It's been crumbling for a while, but I never really liked it to begin with.
Sonic CD is good though. Sonic CD and Sonic 2 are good.
Yeah, they're good.
But basically, this was a late GameCube release, and basically you had to dance around, dance to Mario songs. I do have it complete, but the box is massive, so I didn't bother bringing it down. Got that complete, and I remember this was a Christmas gift, and I had a choice between this or Shadow the Hedgehog. I think I picked a good game there. Yeah, and one thing I didn't bring, which I should mention, is I've got a roll and rocker for the NES, which basically is this controller you stand on and tilt, but it's too big, so I couldn't be bothered bringing it. And what I've got last here is, in the 80s, Activision released patches. If you got high schools on their Atari games, send in a photo of your TV, they send you back these patches. So I collected some of these for a bit.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'll drag some of them out. If you got a certain school on River Raid, they'll send you that, for example. They're about $20-30 on eBay, but the thing is, there's a dude on there, and for about the last 3-4 years, he keeps selling them. So I don't know if he's just got boxes of them, or if he makes fakes and sells them for $30. Oh yeah, with that rare Atari game, that's the manual in there for it. So increases it by a bit in value. Yeah, and that's pretty much all the patches, and that's a bill for one of them, which I paid $23.95 for. And as I've been told, these 2 are original letters you got sent with them. I'm not too sure though, because all the ones I see, they've got blueprint on them, so I don't know if the dude just photocopied this on yellow paper and tried selling them as old stuff, so I'm not too sure there. Can't be bothered dragging them out, but yeah, that's pretty much it, and I think, that's everything I've brought with me today.